All right, everybody. It is Ashley with Keller Williams Real Estate. I am super honored to be here with Miss Debbie.Cobb of Chicago Title. We're going to talk a little bit today about how the title and escrow industry has been impacted by COVID-19. And yeah, I think we're just going to get right into it. Debbie, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background and stuff.
Okay, sure, yeah. So I am an assistant vice president and senior sales executive for Chicago Title. I have been doing this for 31 years. I started when I was 5, so I've been doing this a long time. I'm in the top 2% in the nation for what I do, and real estate is my passion. So I love all things real estate. I left the title and escrow industry for a short period of time back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and was actually a loan officer for about 3 years. And Chicago Title called me and wanted me to come back and work with them again. So they got me on the right day, and I said, sure, and I haven't looked back since. So yeah, it's a little bit about me. We are the largest title insurer in the world. We're under the F&F family of companies. Wow. And we are the biggest in our county. So,
sweet. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, I'm super excited to talk with you about this. I mean, this is like really unprecedented times. I mean, I think that people have done a lot of fast maneuvering to make sure that we keep real estate transactions going. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm super excited.
All right.
Okay. So I think the first thing I wanted to sort of let everybody kind of get an idea of is like sort of what the process was like before COVID. So that way they can have an idea of like what the shift was.
Sure. Yeah. So the process before COVID was, clients would send over real estate contracts to us, walk them into our door, walk in earnest monies, wire them in. We would go out. One of my functions would be to go pick up a contract or earnest money at an office, pick it up, bring it in, get everything set up. We had full access to the recorder's office. So if we had a file that needed to get recorded, we could literally run it over there. Everything is now e-recording. That was prior to even COVID. We started an e-record process. However, with that said, there are certain transactions that have to still go up to the county. And there's lots of other things that we would be working on, lot statuses and lots of things like that we needed full access to the county. So that was kind of the process before. People would, my agents would open title, we'd send them out, just very interactive, in and out of each other's offices, all of that. Full staff on site, full customer service team, all my escrow people in-house, and all my underwriters and examiners. I had some here and some down in a central processing unit down in Seattle. So that's what it looked like before. I mean, just very interactive, a lot of things done in person and, going to each other's offices.
Yeah. And, now things have changed a lot, right? So what are you guys doing now that we have COVID-19 here?
Yeah. Well, okay. It's a lot different. So obviously, most of my real estate offices are closed. I do have a couple that have somebody that goes there once, a day to check on something. But definitely there's no more going in and out of each other's offices. We have now shut our office out to the public. With that being said, our office is still open to the respect of, we still have clients that can bring in earnest money and contracts to us. They just call ahead and we'll go out and meet them outside. And then 75% of our staff is actually working remotely from home. So that's a huge difference. It definitely put a little bit of a delay on things. I mean, our biggest thing was to make sure our clients were not impacted as much as possible with this. And I think for the most part, we've held that to be the case, that we have been able to still process things really pretty quickly. As far as getting a title report out, that really hasn't changed. Luckily, back in 1984, the county started putting all the recorded documents online. So the further we get away from that date, the more records are online, therefore allowing our underwriters to not have to go down into our basement, where we have all the documents from the time we became a state down in our basement that have been recorded. They now can get everything online. So that process has basically been okay. But it is definitely a challenge with half of our escrow teams at home and a small portion still at the office. So a lot of communication, things like that. And then also the county recorder's office is closed to the public. Now, because we're a title and escrow company, we are essential, and we still e-record most things. And the one thing that I would say is a little bit challenging is the recorder's office on those ones that we absolutely can't e-record. We're only given one time slot to get over there and drop off the paper documents. You used to have several times throughout the day. They've now only have it at, I think, 10 a.m. for us to go take physical packages up there. Now, what can sometimes happen is a document can have what we get called bounced. It can get bounced, meaning there's something on the deed that the county doesn't like in order to record it, or the excise isn't filled out correctly, or something happened on the file that the county didn't like and we need to fix something. And if that is the case, we have to wait now again till the next day, which could put a delay on it. Now, I would be happy to tell you that we really haven't had that. We don't make a lot of mistakes. I'm not saying we're perfect, but we don't have a lot that actually physically have to go up there. And then the ones that do, we've been pretty good about not making sure that they're not getting bounced. So the other thing that we put into place because of all of the delays is something that we call gap insurance. So gap insurance is if for some reason the county was actually physically closed to recording for whatever reason. Now, luckily they've never done this, but right at the beginning we had to come up with a solution, because if we had all of these real estate deals happening and no way to record them, what was going to happen? So we have what's called a gap endorsement, which allows us to go ahead and close a transaction, disperse the funds out to the buyers, or I'm sorry, to the sellers, and get the lender's money in, and ensure the transaction, title insure the transaction before we record it. So we would go ahead and close everything, and then we would put all these recordings aside, and once they're reopened, we would get everything recorded. But during that time frame, everyone would be protected with that gap insurance. So that's great. Something new that's come out of COVID.
Yeah, that's really awesome. What do you think was, like, in your opinion, kind of like the biggest challenge to getting everybody like remote?
Yeah.
Right. Because people, like, you guys weren't originally set up to be remote necessarily, right?
And honestly, if you came in, and I've done tours in our office. I mean, our escrow people, our title people have 3 monitors going because we have so many documents and different things. And so, it was a challenge to get everybody set up and get all of their monitors there, and then get all of the phones forwarded so that their direct lines would ring to their home. That, was definitely a little bit of an undertaking, a little stressful for, let's say, a week or so, but it went really well. It went really pretty seamlessly, and everybody's doing great.
Yeah. It sounds like you already had some of the infrastructure in place, so really it's just getting the info to the computer.
Yeah, exactly. And we, one of the things, being a large corporation and what we do, we had to have contingency plans in place and so we had a lot of continuity type things already figured out. So, you just start implementing some things that nobody saw this ever coming, but you plan for different, things. So,
of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's good. I mean, I think that, you and I talked about this, like, things are still moving along.
Yes, we are actually, I think I was telling you, we are very busy. I think people would be shocked to, like you said, to hear that, but we are. Now, are we as busy as we normally would be for an April? April, May is our big time of the year where people tend to start listing their houses and thinking about moving because school is going to be ending and all of the things. But considering what's going on in the world and the amount of deals that are still coming in our office is really quite astounding if you think about it. Not only are we getting a ton of refinances because interest rates are really low, we are getting a ton of purchase business. I'm getting contracts in every single day. I have a lot of agents opening title with me on their listings, so I'm seeing a lot of stuff hitting the market. And as soon as stuff hits the market, I'm getting a contract in a day or two right after that. So multiple offers, lots of business still happening. We're actually pretty slammed.
Yeah, it's pretty busy. I second that. I agree with that. Super busy. Yeah. So what do you think this is going to be like after? What types of things? I mean, do you think, I don't know, the door to like remote working, like, are we going to have like our escrow officers in the Caribbean now? They're going to be like, hey.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Maybe I'll sign up for that. Yeah, here's what we're already seeing, and one of the things I'll tell you too about what's kind of going on now. And our biggest thing, like I was telling you, is making sure our clients, our customers, our buyers and sellers, and our agents were all as unaffected as possible. With that being said, there's a lot of people who are really scared out there, but they still have to sign loan documents, right? They still have to sign the deed. And so we came up with a lot of contingency plans for that. So we've implemented things like a drive-up signing. And I'll get into our remote signings here in a second, but prior to the remotes becoming legal in our state, we had to come up with creative ways to get people to sign their documents without them having a lot of, with that social distancing. And so one of the ways was setting up a drive-through, as you will. You literally could drive up to our office. Our notary would go out. You can stay in your car. We'd look at your ID through the window, get you the documents, obviously in full PPE, and they could sign their documents. We're here to answer any questions and get them back with them ever having to even come into the office. And so I've gone out, I'm a notary, so I would meet people in parking lots and, I would look at their ID through their car and give them their documents, and I'd sit in my car and they'd sit in theirs, and I'd watch them, through the window and then take them back. So we've gotten really creative. Now, with everything going on, there is something called a remote online notary, also known as RON signings. And they were not legal in our state. They were set to be legal in our state in October of this year. But with everything going on, the governor went ahead and did a proclamation allowing them in our state of Washington. Now, the disinformation on that, when everybody heard that, was that, okay, now Debbie can go out and just do a RON signing for me. I don't even have to come to the office. It doesn't quite work that way. In order to do a RON, you actually have to have an endorsement for your notary, basically an additional licensing to be able to do that. You also have to have a certain bandwidth on your computer. You have to have, there's certain computer criteria that you have to have and security that you have to have in order for us to be able to prepare or perform a RON signing. So it wasn't like as soon as that proclamation got passed, we could go ahead the next minute and start doing that. That being said, there were a couple companies out in the area that were offering those. The problem was everybody was calling them, so it wasn't easy to get them on the phone. Yeah.
So the endorsement needs to be for the notary.
Yes.
And then the computer requirements, are they on the side of the buyer and seller and on the notary?
Yeah.
So everybody has to have.
Everybody has to have like it, and we pretty much have that, but we have to have people that have that. The buyers and sellers would need to have a certain bandwidth and speakers and camera and all of that.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's a lot more to it than that. Now going forward, and you're asking me what it's going to look like, a couple things. We're going to obviously have that capability now. I'm getting endorsed. We've got one closer in our office that actually has that physical endorsement. We're going to start implementing things for your earnest money deposit. We have an app in the works for earnest money deposit. We were getting a lot of pushback on that because there are other apps out there where people could put earnest money in. They didn't meet our security criteria. There's a lot of rampant fraud going on out in the industry with bad guys trying to get into real estate deals and trying to get people to wire funds to them that shouldn't be going to them, and finding out details about transactions. And so at our company, we, being the biggest, obviously have the biggest target on us. And so we're really careful about the security measures that we have in place. And so that's why it takes a little bit longer for us to put an app together to have earnest money deposits and that sort of thing. Our biggest deal is making sure our clients never lose their money or have any of their security compromised. And so that is in the works. We should have that out pretty soon. So going forward, I can see earnest money deposits just being done on an app, right?
Wow, that's
a lot more. Isn't that? Yeah.
That'd be incredible. I mean, it's like just boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's almost done. That's ready. And then obviously accommodations for our clients. We anticipate our staff getting back to the office. That we do. I mean, I don't know if we'll have 100% back. There might be some who are like, I kind of like this whole thing. And,
I'm going to Hawaii.
Some people really enjoy working I do, out of my home office. I get a lot. I'm very productive doing it that way. So it'll be interesting. I don't think any of us really know exactly what this is going to look like, because I don't think anybody really knows how long this is going to go on, what that's going to look like. Everybody keeps saying the new norm, right? But a lot of these things, the app for the earnest money, the RONs, those were sort of already out there in play. It just accelerated everything really quickly. So I see that being something that going forward is going to just become part of the norm.
Yeah. I mean, I think you already hit on this. Like, information security is like really big deal. I mean,
yeah,
on both sides. I mean, even though you guys have all the security measures in place, if the buyer or the seller doesn't, then they leave themselves open for people getting in and doing things. And it's like,
I try to teach my agents. I think you've heard this from me, because while you and I could have really secure email conversations,
right.
If your buyer and seller don't, the hackers only need to see a little bit about the transaction.
That's right.
They only need to see, oh, you're under contract and you're sending it to Chicago Title. That's all they need to know. And then they all of a sudden spoof themselves and try to inject themselves into the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're really proactive. We actually physically call buyers and sellers right at the beginning of the transaction, not only to welcome them and thank them, but to also talk to them about how rampant wire fraud is, and making sure that they're understanding why we're making them go through a smart portal in their email, through the email, to keep everything secure, and why they have to register and get two-factor authentication. We're not trying to put more work on them. We're trying to protect them. And we've had people's funds get, taken.
Solicited.
Yeah. Luckily we haven't had anybody lose anything yet. That's our goal, is to try not to have that happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? I mean, do you think that there are any challenges for title and escrow with all this COVID stuff? I mean, it sounds like a lot of stuff kind of moving forward looks pretty good, but I mean, do you sort of see, just in your personal opinion, looking at maybe the state level or at the level of your business, where it's like, okay, this is going to be like hard to figure out?
Yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, a lot of stuff was already going digital. I mean, we were already going down that road. So much of this is now digital. I think the biggest thing for us is getting, and with RONs, getting to be more prevalent and coming on. I would say short-term challenges are just still going to be getting people signed. I'm still out doing signings. We've still got all the stuff, I don't really see a ton of challenges coming as we get more and more things going digitally. I think it's going to be okay. And actually maybe even better, because we would have situations where somebody was out of the country, and couldn't get to, in order, if you're out of the country and you need to have a document notarized, you had to get to a U.S. embassy or consulate unless you were in the military. And so, with RONs coming on, that's going to make that a little bit easier for people.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, what made me think actually is the challenge is going to be the person that's like, I don't know anything about computers.
That's the challenge. Yeah.
Because people are out there still like, I don't use computers.
Well, if you think about it, it's usually the older generation that's most at risk with this COVID. Yeah. And so my elderly clients don't always have a camera on their laptop, or the right bandwidth, or even the capability to set themselves up for that, right? So that is still, I think, the biggest challenge is working with our elderly population and being able to accommodate while still keeping them safe and sound.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I think this is all really good information. Do you have anything else to add that we maybe haven't touched on?
I don't think so. I think as we start getting through the next few weeks and next month or so, we're hoping the county will start slowly bringing some staff back in. We'll be able to open up our office a little bit more and have more walk-ins and stuff like that. But honestly, I feel like, considering everything that's going on, I feel like we've gotten into a pretty good groove. So I think things are still happening. It's really busy. So if you're definitely in the market to buy or sell, it's getting, because I think it's going to be a tidal wave once things really open back up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So if anyone had questions for you, what would be the best way for them to communicate with you?
Yeah, you could call or email me. So my phone number is 425-422-3216. And my email is Debbie, Debbie .Cobb, COBB at CTT.com, like ChicagoTitleTitle.com.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me about this. And
You
I
bet.
sure hope that this like helps people kind of understand like where things are going.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited
We're
to
finding a
get this
silver
out.
lining in all of this, Ashley. So thank
Yes,
you
yes.
for reaching out and having me talk to you about it.
Yeah, of
Appreciate it.
course, of course. Well, thanks so much.